Are there any responses through diplomatic channels to the tests of the Russian cruise missile with the nuclear power unit Burevestnik?
Through diplomatic channels, I haven't heard any responses. Everything has gone quiet.
Many in the West understand the importance of the Eurasian continent, but unfortunately, the Western countries and NATO countries primarily are not ready to engage in dialogue on the basis of mutual respect and mutual rights, equal rights, indivisibility of security on the entirety of our geopolitical space. Instead, NATO countries want NATO bodies to spread through the rest of the continent, including the Pacific region of the continent, and create closed, limited blocks, basically military unions there, thereby undermining the open architecture created for decades by the countries of ASEAN and other integration bodies. And now NATO countries are trying to thwart these positive processes promoted by ASEAN and others and promote only their own interests, which have to do with containing the rise of China, Russia, and other players in the region, or any agent, any country in the region that wants to have its own independent policy that's based on national interests.
NATO and the European Union are building their own dialogues and interaction structures with Central Asian countries and the countries of the South Caucasus, and probably no one can see any hidden pitfalls in this. Moreover, the case, as we are observing now, is that the West is trying to use these connections not so much for mutually beneficial cooperation, but rather to detach these countries from the Russian Federation. Such tendencies, we will counteract with all available means, diplomatic, political, economic, of course. And we do not want our allies, our like-minded partners in Central Asia, in the Caucasus, in other parts of the Eurasian continent, for their goodwill, used to exploit them and push them into opposition with Russia, which is absolutely unnatural for their economic and political interests. In Alaska, through President Putin's words, we double-checked with Mr. Witkoff, who was present there, whether we understood his proposal correctly. In the presence of his president, he confirmed that our understandings are correct, and we said that we are ready to move towards finalizing the agreements on this basis. And by and large, we are still waiting for confirmation from the United States of the proposals they sent us, which we have taken as a basis. Yes, well, regarding the change of position, yes, of course, there's attached it was surprising that suddenly President Trump reverted to positions that seem to have been long settled, and that only reflect the feverish desire of the Europeans and the Zelensky regime to gain a pause in order to rearm. The Kiev structure, as they call it there, the office of the president, the armed forces of Ukraine, and all other components of the Kiev regime. And President Trump, after Alaska and repeatedly before Alaska, by the way, said that a long-term stable peace is needed, not some temporary ceasefire that will achieve nothing even if it lasts a year or two. These are his words. So I hope that the logic adopted by the United States, the logic of establishing a long-term peace, will prevail. There is no longer any talk of extension. It's about when we cease participation in this agreement as a gesture of goodwill. President Putin decided that until its expiration in February 2026, we will adhere to the quantitative limits on those categories of strategic arms covered by the New START Treaty. And since the expiration date of this treaty in February 2026 is approaching and no other options to maintain any kind of constraints in the field of strategic stability are visible, the President put forward an initiative extend our voluntary compliance with these quantitative indicators, with the understanding that the United States will take the same step. I hope that we can receive a positive response from the United States to the proposal that they also agree unilaterally to adhere to the quantitative indicators established in the New START Treaty. President Trump has spoken positively about this initiative from President Putin several times. So actually, we hope that these positive remarks will materialize into some official announcement.
Are there any responses through diplomatic channels to the tests of the Russian cruise missile with the nuclear power unit Burevestnik?
Through diplomatic channels, I haven't heard any responses. Everything has gone quiet. Any contacts between CIS countries at the central level, at the level of central governments, presidents, heads of executive power, parliaments, and of course regions are also a very promising forum of our cooperation, which has long been developed. There are special regional forums within the structure of our relations with many CIS countries, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Belarus, of course, and many others. So here, and by the way, cooperation between regions is developing across the entire range of issues and areas. This is, of course, trade, economy, investments first and foremost, but at the same time, humanitarian and educational contacts, mutual tours are also widely represented. No, here, in fact, I think there are no doubts. This is a very promising direction. This is the basis. This is the foundation. Connections between regions are, as they say, grassroots, and we encourage this in every way.